Well, hello everyone, I'm UrielLocke, and I've decided to do something that I normally wouldn't be doing, and I'm not the type of person that would normally talk about something like this, but, well, I would, but not in this context, so to speak. I'm actually going to go over and cover why I became a gamer, and why I gravitated towards gaming instead of anything else in my life. So, I pretty much have to start with my life story in order for people to understand, because that actually was very influential with what happened in my childhood and whatnot. And I've given hints here and there throughout my previous videos about what influenced me to become a gamer the most. And sitting here, I realized that I need to, in a sense, reach out to other people, other gamers, and let people know that there are other ways to deal with things. So, I pretty much had a normal childhood. Um, my father was an alcoholic, and there was some issues there. He couldn't really ever hold down a job, and my mom was working her tail off trying to pay bills and everything. It wasn't until I was 7 years old that things actually got really bad. My father got viral encephalitis and was not doing too well. I remember my brother and I were woken up at like 2, 3 in the morning, something like that. Some ungodly hour for kids to be woken up. And my mom rushed my father to the hospital, and we're in a little podunk town, so we had to go out of town to actually go to another hospital. And from there, he was actually airlifted to another hospital in a bigger city. And he said he spent quite a bit of time there. He was in ICU. He was actually in a coma for a while, from what I know, and had a lot of seizures. Almost died multiple times. And during this time that he was in the hospital and whatnot, my mom was right by his side. My mom was right there. She was actually staying in hospital housing, so she was like right across the street from the hospital, so she could go see my father whenever. And my brother and I were bouncing from friend's house to friend's house, which kind of sort of took its toll on my brother and I, especially me, being the age I was where I could understand things. My brother was, thankfully, he doesn't remember most of what I remember, and I'm actually thankful every day that he doesn't remember any of that. So we just bounced from friend's house to friend's house while he was in the hospital, and one of my friends actually had a Super Nintendo, and that was my first time really getting into gaming, because I was so angry at the time. I didn't understand what was going on, what I did wrong, why my mom wasn't there for me, where my father was, what was going on with him, because nobody really told me what was going on. They just said, your dad's sick, and they didn't tell me how sick. And I remember sitting there and just throwing on Street Fighter and just playing for hours, trying to become numb to the world and what was going on in my childhood and what was going on around me, because it felt like my mom didn't want me, and it also felt like my father was dead and gone. And after that happened, I kind of sort of shut down emotionally, and my mom and my father got better, came out of the hospital, and we all went home, and everything was supposed to be this perfect, in a sense, Disney story where everybody comes back together and everybody's in love and everybody's happy and everything works out, and it wasn't that. In fact, it was 100 times worse than that could have ever been. Um, my father, when he came back, he wasn't himself. He he was half the man he used to be, in my opinion. And being that age and only wanting to be just like your father and realizing that your father was broken and not who you thought he was shattered a lot of my dreams as a child. And I look back at it now and I say, that hurt, but at the same time, moving forward is more important to me. Now, at least. Back then, it was gut-wrenching to help him learn how to do things that he had helped me learn a year previously, or 2 years, or 3. I remember very, very well the fact that my father was in a bedroom trying to learn how to tie his shoes. And sitting there while he's doing that, watching him tie his shoes and then get frustrated the way I did when I was learning how to tie my shoes. And then having to go in there and teach him how to tie his shoes was one of the very few things that hit me so hard. It was like a freight train. And I realized then that nothing would ever be the same between him and I. And I didn't know what was going to happen between our relationship as a father and son. Now, that being said, my mom was doing everything she could to help, to move things forward, to pay bills, to take care of my father, to take care of my brother and I. That being said, though, my father was very problematic. He became abusive in a sense. My brother and I were sitting there in our bedroom playing with huge toy plastic cars. They were just 7 to 8 inches long, and they were all just plastic, and they had like the weird crappy wheels and the little metal prong that held the wheels on and held the wheels to the car itself. My brother and I were just running around doing stuff, and my father comes in, "Oh, hey guys, what you doing?" Grabs one of the carts and rams it into my brother's finger. And I instinctively cover my brother just to protect him. And my mom walks in because he's crying and screaming and his finger's semi-bloody. It was just a scrape, but it wasn't anything too bad. That's the small amount of things that I'm actually willing to say about that part of the situation. But he did become very violent, volatile, and scary in many situations. He ended up coming in my room with mine and my brother's room at night, and going through our dresser drawers and underneath our beds and our closet, saying that there was someone in the house. And he started feeling that my mom was cheating on him because she was out working late trying to pay the bills. And all that being said, I can't really say that I remember everything about my childhood. And that's the other thing that scares me the most, because I'm literally missing 3 years of my life as a child. I can't remember 3 years. I can't remember from 7 to 10, really. I mean, I remember turning 10, because that's when my mom and my stepdad got together, but I can't remember the in-between there. There's nothing there. There's little memories of the apartment my mom and my brother and I lived in. There's little memories of the trip to one of the bigger cities to actually go talk to psychiatrists and psychologists and all that, and go through a little bit of therapy there. But that's all I really remember. Now, fast forward a couple years, 10 years old, and my mom marries my stepdad. Things start to go pretty well, and we move into another state. I'm put in a different school. I don't even know what's going on. I had some some learning issues due to what happened with my father, and I do believe my brother did too. So we're put in a school. I had really bad reading issues. I couldn't really read because of everything. And my brother had speech impediments and all these other things, and he had learning issues as well. And so did I. So both of us were kind of sort of put in special classes in order to help us. Well, those special classes helped us move forward in school. But at the same time, my brother and I never got the real help we needed, so to speak. So my brother became a very quiet, angry person, whereas I became the emotional one, in a sense. I think the first bout of depression I actually ever had was around the 6th grade, because when my mom married my stepdad, I didn't know him. I never got a chance to actually know him beforehand, really. I mean, I talked to him a couple times, but I never really knew him. And he had 2 kids of his own, so we became a blended family. And since we were a blended family, there were a lot of things that happened. I was the oldest, so his sons didn't really come up very often, and when they did, they didn't really get in trouble, and I was the one that got in trouble. I'm not blaming them for that situation. I'm just saying that not paying attention to the situation was what caused that situation. I don't have any ill will for my stepdad or my mother. I'm just saying that the situations as they weren't the way they should have been for a child my age. And I still gravitated towards video games. They were a fascinating thing to me at this time, because all these awesome games were coming out, and then I always wanted more from video games. I had played the original Pokemon games and whatnot because my grandmother on my father's side had gotten my brother and I Nintendo Game Boys. So we had Game Boys, yay. But every time we'd go down and visit our father, that's pretty much what I was doing. I was drowning myself in video games because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to have to face the fact that the man I knew was gone and was replaced by this, in my opinion, he was replaced by something that wasn't him. I mean, it talked like him, it shares the same DNA as him, but it wasn't him in my opinion. Because he was always the strong one, the one that I could rely on. And now he's not that. There were other issues with my grandmother and the fact that she didn't really approve of my mother. So my father was told many things about my mother, and my father and I ended up getting into a couple fights over it. Me defending my mother, my father defending his view. I beat myself up every day because I thought it was my fault. Even when they told me it wasn't my fault. I wanted to fix it. I didn't know what to do. I think that's really when I started getting into Star Wars as well, because it was something I could control in a sense. Something I can understand the way it's supposed to be. And the video games were the same way. I could control the scenario of what happened in that video game in certain instances. If I was playing a certain character, like Guile or Blanca, I could sit there and control that situation because I knew those characters so well. I knew how to do every single special move. I knew when to pull them off and when to do them. And that's what, in a sense, made me gravitate towards video games. Because it was something I could understand, because life I couldn't. Life had betrayed me in a sense, and it hurt. It hurt to the point where I didn't know what to do. It didn't get really bad with my depression until I hit high school. My father's relationship with me was deteriorating to the point of not being there. I had been sent home from my grandparents' house because of my disrespect. My father got into an argument with me about my mother. My grandmother got involved, and she ended up digging her acrylic nails into my arm to pull me away from my father. And I told her to shut up, because no one had the right to talk about my mother like that. I went outside to cool off, arm still kind of bloody. It wasn't too bad. It was still bleeding though. My grandfather came out and threatened me. He said if I ever talk like that to his wife again, he'd beat the crap out of me. Next day, I'm on a flight home without my brother. The entire time I was home, I was worried about my brother, because that kid and I have always had each other's backs. I've always protected that kid from everything that could hurt him. And I couldn't protect him because I wasn't there. In a sense, I ended up raising my brothers, my stepbrothers, and my biological brother. My parents, my mom and my stepdad, worked all the time to make ends meet. And I understand that, but at the same time, they'd come home, make dinner, and then we'd go to bed, watch TV, whatever, basic stuff. But it was my daily job to run the house when they weren't home. So I'd pretty much make sure that everything got done. I'd do the dishes, I'd help my other brothers with chores, I'd make sure they did their chores, I'd clean up after myself. I tried to be the most responsible kid I could. But in doing that, I destroyed my childhood because I wasn't a child. I never really had a childhood, so to speak, because as I said, at the age of 7, that whole thing happened with my father. I matured to the point of a 10-year-old at the age of 7 and a half. And then I kept maturing and maturing and maturing, and I was at the point where I didn't understand why I was so far ahead mentally than everybody else in school, because everybody else in school was like, oh, hey, this, that, and cuties, and I was like, what? I don't even know what this is. Why does it matter? I look back at the situations that I've lived through, and I don't blame those around me for them. I don't point fingers at people and say, you're the reason this happened to me. Instead, I've learned that learning from those situations and saying, I'm not going to do this to someone else in my life. I'm not going to put them in this position to harm them, to hurt them, and in a sense, destroy them the way I was destroyed. I had to figure out a lot of things on my own, and I'm still wrestling with that today. I mean, there's still parts of me that hurt because of what happened to me as a kid, and all the dreams I had that got washed away because of the fact that people were angry at me, because people didn't understand, because people didn't try to understand. That's one thing that I always felt, is that I was so alone. I never had anybody there to actually just listen. So instead of gravitating towards drugs or other bad things. I gravitated towards video games. The one thing I could understand. I had one friend in high school, and to this day, I thank him every day for being my friend in high school, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. He's the one that actually pulled me aside and said, hey, we're going to do this. And he and I became really close friends, and we used to game together all the time. I can actually thank him for all the gaming I've done pretty much in the past, 9 years? 10 years almost? He and I used to get together on Friday nights. I used to go over to his house, and he had a PlayStation, and he had a N64, and we used to go over there and just go in his room, and we used to play Legends of Dragoon, Gran Turismo all night long. And to this day, I have not beaten Legends of Dragoon, so that's one thing. But he's the reason why I am the gamer I am today, along with my uncle, who passed away recently as well. So I've been trying to keep myself from feeling for so long because of what happened to my uncle. Because the scenario that happened afterward was not something that I appreciate. My uncle was one of the very few people that helped me get through a lot of stuff. And he kind of sort of helped push me towards gaming. And he was a huge gamer himself. I remember going over to his house when I was visiting for the holidays, and he'd be playing The Sims or Elder Scrolls or something. And he was always just this happy gamer. And he actually was one of the first people that actually introduced me to video games, besides my friends that I had way back when I was a kid. But he was one of the first ones that got me into computer gaming. So it's one of those things where I'm just sitting there looking at it going, he would push me towards this. And he was playing WoW and doing this and doing that. And he was always telling me, hey, you should come play this with me. Hey, you should come play this with me. And I never had the money to. I tried for years. I never could. I was always too busy. And I know how lame I sound. I know how broken I sound. But at the same time, I look at this as something. The entire reason why I have my YouTube channel is because of my uncle. Because it's something that he would watch. It's something that he would like. I literally started my gaming channel a month after he died. So this channel is actually a dedication to him. Because I've been trying so hard to pull myself together. The only thing that feels right is gaming. I apologize for the fact that I'm crying. And I apologize for the fact that my voice is probably cracking like hell. But life isn't easy. Life never is. But I'm letting everyone know that is watching my channel that when you're down, that when you're hurting more than anything, there are people out there that are willing to help, willing to talk, willing to game with you, just to show you that they care. Because I've been through it. I have hurt like the best of you. And I've been through things that I wouldn't wish on me playing. I've watched my life fall apart right in front of my eyes. And I've tried to protect those around me that I care about while it happened. I am in a situation now where I have a stable job. I have a roof over my head. I have the internet. And I have computer games. And I am saying this is a call out to every single one of you. That if you ever need someone to talk to, that if you ever need someone to game with, I'm here. My Facebook, my Twitter, my Steam account, all of that you have access to. If you ever just hurt and you just want to run around and play some games to get your mind off of it, I'm here. I'm willing to do that. I would like to thank every single one of you for helping watch and promote and share my videos, because that right there gets this word out. That right there lets people know that there are other people out there just like them who can't feel or who try not to. Those people are the reason why this channel exists. Because I know what it's like to hurt. I know what it's like to look in the mirror and hate yourself every day. Because I did that. And then I realized something. Why should I hate what I've become? Because what I have become is 10 times what I was. I am more proud of myself now than I have ever been in my entire life. Everyone around me is not very proud of me because of what I'm doing. Because they don't understand what this means to me. They don't understand what this means to you, the viewers. The kids out there that are going through it. The abusive parents, alcoholic parents, the parents that aren't there. I'm not going to say that I understand everything, and I'm not going to say that I know what it's like all the time. But I feel for you. I feel for every single one of you. Because this isn't just about games. Because life isn't just a game. Life is real. Life hurts. And I'm here to say, I'm here. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share my videos. This one specifically. The more people that see this video, the better. Because now, you all know what a little bit of my life was like. And maybe you understand a little bit. Maybe you can actually feel the same way I do in certain situations. And maybe you'll end up sending me a message because you're hurting and you need something to do to get your mind off of it. Someone to help, someone to listen. Thank you for watching. And keep watching, because you never know what I'm going to do next.